Hello, beautiful people. It is the Jalissa Joy. Today is a little bit gloomy, but it's not a gloomy moment up in here. I thought I would close out Black History Month by talking to 4 educators about their experiences working with specifically Black students, and they happen to be Black themselves. I feel like we need to do a better job to hold space for each other and hold space for educators, and not the people that have the PhDs and are on CNN or have written all the books, but the day-to-day educators that are with our kids. They're literally building America. So I brought these 4 on. They're going to tell you a little bit about themselves. I'll let them get started.
Hello, my name is Deloise Fulton. I teach high school English here in North Carolina. I've taught for over 12 years. Prior to becoming an English teacher, was a journalist for over 12 years, and I covered news, education, crime, business for newspapers in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia.
Hello. My name is Brad Washington. I am a site coordinator slash behavior interventionist at Watkins Nance Elementary School. I work with the kindergartners and first grade students with behavior intervention, social emotional learning, and I also work with the teachers on how to develop those students and also do parent engagement activities. I am also a campus director with Boys and Girls Club, and I've been doing that for 10 years. And this is my sixth year working in the education business.
What's up? My name is Orlando Wilson. I am the owner and CEO of Orlando Wilson Acting Studio, which I've been in business for 1 year now. So big shout out to me. Actually, it's a year and 2 months. I am the acting for TV film teacher at Harlem School of the Arts. I also run and facilitate 2 audition technique classes at Harlem School of the Arts. I also work for 2 DOE programs, LEAP, if you've heard of them, Learning Through Expanded Arts program, as well as TLP, the leadership program. I teach a host of programs from theater to on-camera film production, to a boys to mentoring program where I go into schools and I mentor young boys in how to turn them from boys to men. I've been teaching for like almost 10 years. Wow, I'm getting old. I'm based in New York City, so I've did the hustle from teaching artists to assistant teaching to master teaching artists.
Some of those people were being a little modest about themselves. So the first one, I don't know if you noticed the resemblance, but y'all, that is my mama. Enough said. Brad wrote a book about social emotional learning with students. It's a wonderful read. If you're watching this, then I definitely think you should hop on over, if you haven't already, and watch that video. Support Black, buy Black. And Mr. Orlando Wilson, y'all, does he look familiar to any of you? Have any of you seen him on TV? This man, he is being so modest. This man, not only is he an educator, but he is also an actor. And by actor, I mean like he's on television, y'all. He's been in national ads and campaigns and commercials for a few years now. So they are being modest because they're amazing, great people. But yes, I just had to come and just, boost them up just a little bit, let you know, who's really talking to you today. Hey, gotcha. Yes, I am the 4th educator because I do work with kids, or some college kids. I specifically work as a guest lecturer. 7 to 10 years I've been working with kids from ages like little babies, teaching them how to read. Also, I work with high school students, and I developed a presentation about how to create positive change within your community. And I worked with college level kids. Anything you wish you had learned or known about Black history or culture before becoming an educator? Why? How would this have informed you as an educator?
Particularly when I was growing up in school as a student myself. I wish I knew more because I think it would have given me more examples, people, experiences to identify with, and that would have improved my confidence as a person, as a young woman. Gosh, if I would have heard about Carter G. Woodson in 8th and 9th grade in high school, if I would have been shown the paintings of Jean-Michel Basquiat, I think when we know who we are and can identify with others who have achieved in our community, it just uplifts us.
I am not sure if there is anything that I wish that I have known about Black history, but I do try to incorporate our Black heroes in our everyday learning. And if it isn't every day, I definitely try to do it at least on a monthly basis so that our kids can know and look up to our appropriate heroes.
I wish I'd have learned everything. I think growing up into the public schools as a middle schooler as well as a high schooler, we wasn't taught about Black history. And if we were taught about Black history, it was during Black History Month, those 28 days. And out of those 28 days, there were only a handful of prominent people we learned about. The MLKs, the Rosa Parks, and pretty much that's about it. So I wish we would, have a deep dive into learning more about the prominent figures, the hidden figures. There are way more prominent African Americans other than the ones that we hear about every single year.
Black people contributed, arts, sciences, math, everything. There's so many things, like even the White House, like a Black person designed that, like a Black man. I didn't really learn until I was in college, and I specifically minored in African American studies so that I could gain this particular knowledge. So if you're not actively chasing that, how are you going to learn that information? And this isn't just a Black problem, this is an everyone problem. Other cultures that come to America do not revere and even understand. How can you revere what you don't even know or understand beyond, just our music and our culture, that you can see? COVID and education, specifically for Black students, what challenges has this brought about for you and students in your respective locations? Any discoveries?
I see how society views teachers and education and students. Parents, others didn't really so much care about the teachers as much as the teachers' well-being. But also, the pandemic helped get technology into kids' hands that before did not have those laptops. So it's two sides to every coin. I think we need an approach to education where teachers' concerns, students' concerns and needs, along with those of the community, and the community includes parents, are balanced somehow.
COVID has initially started off as a bad thing for me because I'm so used to hands-on learning. But it's also been a really good thing because it has minimized the distractions of the classroom. So learning to adapt by getting on Microsoft Teams or Google Meets have allowed me to really grow as an educator and better reach the students. It also has given me access into learning how to work with the parents, but also the parents getting a chance to see how I operate. I learned that you got to adapt. COVID is making everyone adapt.
Well, before COVID, I worked in the 16th Congressional District. And if you guys know about the 16th Congressional District in the South Bronx, you would know that it's the poorest district in the nation. Now, I'm not talking about the state. I'm not talking about the borough. I'm not talking about the Northeast. I'm talking about the whole nation, the United States of America. 250,000 of the families that are living in the South Bronx in the 16th Congressional District is either poor or living below the poverty line. So being into the schools pre-COVID was already a problem. So imagine what's going on now during COVID. Families are not able to afford laptops. They're not able to afford Wi-Fi. And if they can't go into the school, then what? What now? They don't have anything. So for me, it taught me to be a lot more patient with them. Because students are living in homes where it's like, I have one or two of my students are living in homes where it's 12, 13 people in a 2-bedroom. One is living in a 1-bedroom. It's 11 of them. And they're unable to turn their camera on or unable to unmute themselves because there's so much racket going on. It's like 4 or 5 babies, aunties, uncles, grandmas. So COVID has really put a heavy damper on myself, but as well as the families in the South Bronx.
COVID has allowed me the time to focus and decide how I can best use my skill set as an educator. Often people have encouraged me to be a professor, to get on payroll at a university, or to get on payroll as a teacher. And I always felt like that wasn't really my path. And so this time I was able to truly foster myself and carve out a way to impart and create real change, and to really be able to see that and how to do that on a level like behind the scenes, and when working on other projects that I will share in the future with you all. And I'll get more into the next question. I'll get more into some specific things that I was able to do during COVID to help teach specifically Black students and brown students. Teaching Black students, how have you used your position to empower and inform students?
As an English teacher and as a teacher of African American literature, I think it's very important that my students, who are predominantly African American, have these positive examples, folks that they can connect with and see themselves in. When my students see me, hopefully they see an inkling of themselves. Being a Black woman from the South, a poor kid who grew up in a single parent home, who didn't have the best circumstances growing up, who was a teen mom, and say, oh gosh, if Ms. Fulton can do all that, I can do this. I want them to see themselves in the lessons. I want them to see themselves in the classroom. When you walk around my classroom, I have posters of African American writers, Asian writers, Middle Eastern writers, and Hispanic writers, along with the great of the more traditional white writers. I want my kids to feel like they fit because they do fit and they do belong.
So often in time, I've noticed that some of my former students and just my students that I have now, a lot of them, they're impressionable, they're young or they're teenagers, so they look up to rappers or the street lifestyle. And as a Black male, as an educator, I've realized my importance in making sure that I am, giving them a really good basis of what is a strong Black man. Teaching our Black kids that yes, this world isn't really designated for us, but we can still thrive in this world and we can still be successful. I don't want them to get in that mindset like they have to work harder than the next person. They just need to work hard, period. So teaching our Black students is nothing that I would trade for the world. I would do it every day, even on Sundays. They're very important and we need them to succeed, just like someone believed in me.
We all define power differently. But if you look at the definition of power, it's for one to be able to be in control. And I want them to know that you, as the individual, have control and power over everything. I have to let them know that, hey, we have to work 10 times harder. I let my actors know that I'm going to be hard on you. If you're doing a terrible job or you suck, I'm going to tell you that you suck. I'm not going to pat you in the back. I'm not going to sit here and like, oh my God, you're doing so good. No, and I do understand that a lot of people react to things differently. But when you're in my classroom, I want you to know that once you leave this classroom, whoever else is going to be out here watching you as an artist, they're going to give you the truth. They're not going to baby you. And I don't want you to walk out of my classroom feeling like when you walk into the audition room with someone else, maybe someone who is the opposite color of you, I want you to be able to know that Mr. O set you up to own that power. I teach them that they are in control of their power.
Something that I always try to do is put in Black history to whatever I teach them. So I was lucky. I was very blessed. During COVID, a dear friend of mine teaches at a local university. She's a professor, and she brought me in to teach her class about classical African American theater. The reason why this is quite special is because that doesn't exist. That they don't have that. They don't teach us that because of the time period during Shakespeare and all that. What I did, I took the time to build this this lecture, and I built two because I wanted to also give to Latin American students as well knowledge for classical theater. What made the African American lecture so special is I really felt that it was so important to include historical dates. And what I mean is to take them through time and to pick out certain times so they could see, at this time, this is when the 14th Amendment was passed, the 15th Amendment was passed, the 16th Amendment was passed, and here's what's happening in the arts. Here's what's happening with Black people in the arts, so that they can really see why Black Americans have had the particular struggles that we've had, but also the work that we were actually doing during this time, and how it might not be on the level or the caliber of other nations or European people at this same time, but their work was still being done. And quite honestly, as I began to do research into finding information for the students, I could see that if people search, we'll be able to bolster up African American classical theater. Anything you would like to impart to others concerning creating better curriculums for Black students in the future you want to see?
I want to look at predispositions of student learning styles based on their ethnic background, just like certain medicines and certain medical techniques work better with folks of various backgrounds. I think if we take the time to look at how different children respond based on their experiences, we can help them more so in the classroom.
Is making sure that education is not an ego-based thing and education is always about the students. I created a social emotional learning program through my after-school program a couple years ago, and I was just discussing it with some of the staff that it's literally the best school year that I ever had because I took the power away from me so much and I really gave it to my kids. And it was so much fun watching them explore and become leaders and, inquisitive and wanting to learn. But most importantly, they wanted to be there. It's supposed to be an experience. So if we're going to create curriculum, let's make sure that our kids are in the forefront and we're not doing things based off of satisfying our own ego.
Creating better curriculums for Black students is a pedagogy that I think most teachers should embark on, and that's educational responsiveness, and that's just meeting the young people where they're at. I can't sit here and talk about Garth Brooks to someone who grew up in the South Bronx and all they knew is hip hop. I gotta meet them where they're at. I gotta start talking about the history of hip hop, or I gotta sit here and talk about someone who's popping that's in the South Bronx. I can't sit here and give them something that they cannot relate to. So we must meet the young people, young Black students where they're at.
I want everyone to focus more on teachers, how we can help them and how we can give them more tools to do their job. I want to see for the future people actively incorporating Black culture into the curriculum because it is American history. Incorporating Black American stories and knowledge is to uplift America and incorporate everyone else's stories too, because America is diverse. The only people that were here were the Native Americans. So anybody else, thank you so much, beautiful people, for watching. That is all. I hope you feel empowered. I hope you're thinking about your teachers. I hope you're thinking about your babies, if you have any babies or somebody else's babies or students. I hope that you feel empowered and encouraged to activate what we've discussed here, what everybody has discussed or talked about here, and how you can incorporate these ideas into your life. This is what I decided to do with Black History Month. I took you through business, I took you through taxes, I took you through Black authors, and I'm taking you through Black educators. So I think that in regards to people, we have to do whatever we can. Black history isn't just about the past. It's also about the present and the future and how we can move each other forward. So I'm closing out Black History Month, but Black history is really all the time because I'm Black. So everything I do is history, and everything that other people do is history as well. Love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Jalissa Joy out.